Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I want to make a little chatting video, talk about my first year teaching, what I struggled with and what I learned, but also what I loved most about it. And if you guys don't know, I graduated in May of 2025 with my bachelor's in special education in North Carolina. And I moved to Boston to live with my partner and started working in an inner city private school with about 70 students. And I work with students who have emotional, behavioral disabilities, primarily with learning disabilities also. My class was about 6 or 7 students, middle school. Hence the 6 and 7 meme I just quoted. It's nonstop. And I absolutely love what I do. So I'm not saying I'm the best teacher in the world, and comparing myself to teachers online, I definitely don't feel like the best teacher in the world. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to get into that. And there's a lot of negativity around teaching right now, and how, you don't get paid enough. There's no work-life balance. It's a financial strain on you. You have to spend money out of your own pocket for your students in your classroom. And more. I've heard a lot more. And I'm here to kind of show that teaching's not as bad as people say it is. And in our current economy, a lot of jobs don't pay enough. And we're all struggling. So why not struggle with an amazing group of kids who bring love, joy to my life every single day? So yeah, I'm going to kind of prove people wrong who say teaching's like one of the worst careers, because in my opinion, working with students, especially students who have disabilities or diagnoses similar to my own, and relating to them and being close in age to them, because I am only 23 and my students are like 11, 12, 13. So the next generation over, I am able to relate to them a lot better than, say, like a veteran teacher. And I have similar interests to them, like being online, being into media, being on social media, knowing current trends and stuff like that. So that was really fun about my year, is the closeness and our understanding of current culture, and, media and stuff like that. But I'm going to be more organized going forward. So number 1, something that surprised me. So this is, again, a video of things I struggled with, but also that surprised me, or things that came as a shock to me. Parents are a lot easier to get along with than I thought they would be. In college, I heard a lot of horror stories about parents like suing teachers for doing stuff, coming in a rage, demanding better services for their students, or for their children. So I had pretty good relationships with my students' parents, and because I had such a small class size, there was a very close relationship with every student and every parent or caregiver. And communicating via text, because I had a work phone, made it a lot easier to form close relationships with the parents and be on the same page with what their students need, what their kids need in school. And also communicating with them about how I could help them get resources they need outside of school, like reading support, bringing their interests into the classroom, and making sure that, the parents know that I genuinely care about their child. So yeah, I formed some pretty good relationships with the parents, so that shocked me. Well, that didn't shock me, but it was a pleasant surprise. Number 2, something that I struggled with was, I, as a first-year teacher, I've heard stories about it, but I truly underestimated when people said you will get attached to your students and you will bring home their trauma and their challenges as your own, and you will not think about anything else. I was like, yeah, no, it's true. especially with such a small class and being so close with my students and knowing every detail about their home lives, what they do and do not have at home, if they're lonely or not, their mental health, all these things, if their parents are present, if they have food at night, like working in like field experience and internships, you don't get as close to your students as you do when you're with them all year. And as a little note, I also was with my students all day long. I taught every subject: math, ELA, reading, science, history, spelling, writing, social emotional, you name it. Like, we had every single period together in the same classroom, with breaks, with free time, with structured time, with hard work, with fun, all the things we had. And it felt like a family. I felt so close to all of them, and no one really can understand what it feels like to be that attached to a group of kids until you become a teacher. You just don't know. So if you're in college about to become a teacher, prepare for your heart to be a little crushed when the school year ends, because a full school year truly feels like a whole era of your life. Like, it goes on and on and on. Like, think of your 3-month-long semester of student teaching. This is like a whole year, whole academic year. Like, you're with them so much. So that is what I really struggled with. And our last day of school was recent, and I just now am kind of getting calm and comfortable with not being in the same routine every single day, because when you're a teacher, you're on autopilot, and every single day is the same routine. So when you're on a break, you're just kind of like you don't know what to do with yourself, because you don't have these little kids like relying on you for their every need. Well, not little kids, middle schoolers, but you don't have kids asking you 8 million questions a day. You can actually think without having your thoughts interrupted by chatter and overstimulating things. But yeah, the attachment to my students surprised me, and I struggled with it a lot. Number 3, this is a huge thing I struggled with. At the start of the year, I had a flip phone, so I wasn't on social media. I've never been on TikTok. I don't like the way that short form content makes me feel, and I know that's a weird thing to say, but it like alters my brain chemistry. Like, I already have ADHD. I don't need to have my attention span even shorter. And it kind of just made my brain feel foggy. So I've never really been on TikTok, but I do watch Instagram Reels, and I started halfway through the year doom scrolling more. I was at my all-time low, for real. Like, I didn't think I would make it through the school year. And I was following a bunch of teachers for ideas, for like lesson ideas and outfit ideas, but mostly practical curriculum and lesson ideas. But most of their videos were about like decorating their classrooms, buying things for their students, getting coffee and energy drinks every morning, and going in early, and putting together special little activities, and really pouring their entire lives, hearts, souls, mental, physical energy, but mostly financial energy into teaching. And these were people who had 20 plus students. Like, compared to my kids, like, I was like, well, surely I can buy my students things just like they are. No, it's not realistic. And that was one of the things I struggled with most, because I was over here like, dang, like, I know I'm a first year teacher and I'm still learning, but this teacher influencer over here is like a second year teacher, and she acts like Miss Frizzle or Miss Honey for her students, and gets them anything they want, and gets them everything and more, and I just can't do that. That's not realistic. And so I started to compare myself to people and teachers online a lot, and that really, really discouraged me. And so advice to new teachers is, if you're starting off and you have a pretty bare classroom, you don't get funding through your school to pay for supplies, you have a pretty basic curriculum, you don't give your kids gifts every day, you don't spend $100 a month on coffee every morning to get through the day, that's okay. Like, it's okay to be a teacher in the way that you want to be a teacher. And I was about to say it's okay to be a basic teacher, but what does that even mean? Like, am I basic for not doing those things for my kids and for my classroom? No. So I could go on and on about that, but it kind of just made me feel like shit, like looking at all these teachers who do all these things, and then also thinking to myself, well, my students maybe watch these videos of these other TikTok teachers and are like, why doesn't my teacher do that for me? Yeah, so that kind of sucked. But I'm still learning. My lessons weren't perfect. My lessons weren't amazing. I did as much as I could with as much as I was giving. I worked my ass off. I didn't bring much work home, and I did feel guilty for that. I tried to keep work at work and home at home, and I did feel guilty for that, probably because of the online culture that teachers have to work into the night to do their job, which just isn't true. If you're having to do that, you got to find another school, because the school I'm at, they really, really help you keep that work-life balance. Like, they see you take home stuff to work on, like the binders or curriculum books. They're like, what are you doing? No, you work at work. You don't work at home. But I struggled with the comparison overall. And am I on number 4? Number 4, feeling like I'm never quite doing enough. As you know, everyone knows and has seen online with teachers, it's like the work never ends. The list of things to do never ends. In order to not kill yourself your first year teaching, you just have to take it one day at a time. Because if you're over here planning or touching up your plans for the next day for lessons, and you're thinking about 5 or 6 or 7 IEP meetings or conferences or professional developments that you have the following week or the following month, you're gonna freak out, or at least that's how I am. So really, you just have to make sure to add stuff to your calendar when you hear about it, when you're notified, but only take it one day at a time. Yes, you should plan ahead if that helps you, but don't take work home. I work from 7:45 a.m. I get there early because that's how I like to do my job. I usually get there at like 6:30 a.m., 6:45, and then I'm there till 3:15 at the latest, and then I'm out. I don't work at home. How I plan is I plan during my 2 prep periods, which I'm very lucky. A lot of teachers don't have that, and that's just why I like my school. And then I plan on either Saturday or Sunday morning for 2 to 3 hours max, like for the following week. So I'll choose a morning on the weekend and just from bed plan my lessons for the next week. And I like to loosely plan about 2 weeks ahead, but that's just me. And even though I do that, my mind is always racing, and I just think it's a teacher thing. You're always thinking about what's next. And that's why I advise new teachers to write that shit down. Like, don't hold anything in here, write it down. And then once you have it written down, you don't have to hold it in here. It's good, okay? When you feel like you never get anything done, you start to feel like you haven't accomplished anything. But when you look at it one day at a time, you're like, heck yeah, I just planned for the next week and I'm done. No more thinking about it. It's nice. Number 5, This first year of teaching was the most fulfilling year of my life, by far, of my entire life, because I felt like my degree and my experience and my passions all had paid off and had culminated into this beautiful, like, realization that I chose the right career path and that all my hard work wasn't for nothing. Like, it was amazing. It was an amazing feeling. But my mental and physical health totally demolished. Like, teaching became my full-time job, but also my full-time life. Like, my whole entire life was teaching, making sure that I worked as hard as I could. And even though I did have pretty good work-life balance, it's just the anxiety of holding the weight of what my students are going through, but also not ever having a break during the school day to take care of my own needs. And I didn't even realize I was doing that until it got to the end of the school year and I had lost like 10 pounds. I realized I hadn't worked out in a year and a half. My hair was falling out from the stress. I couldn't relax because I'd been on autopilot all year. Like, I literally couldn't shut my brain off. And that's when I realized, like, it destroyed me. Mostly emotionally, but also, like, you don't realize the physical toll on your body when you're on your feet 9+ hours a day and answering millions of questions, and you don't even have a second to sit down. It's a thing that when you're into it, you're like, oh, I'm fine, like, I can do this. But over time, and when you get a break, you realize the impact that it had on your body, and you feel that. I've been on break, like 3 days, and I feel guilty for sitting down. It's a mix of guilt, but also, like, I don't know how to sit down because I haven't sat down in 9 months. Like, you know what I mean? So I really struggled with teaching becoming my life, but also loved my job. So there's that controversial side. Like, you can struggle at your job and realize it's taking a toll on you, but also love your job. So my goal next year is to increase that work-life balance even more and do some hobbies and yoga and meditation and something. I also started antidepressants this year working this job. Not that that was directly linked with starting this job, but it was bound to happen soon. Number 6, my coworkers. I was surprised with how easy it was to get along with my coworkers. And I have a co-teacher. Hi. I have a co-teacher, and we got along pretty well. I will say that one of the hardest things with being a first-year teacher is prioritizing your relationships with your coworkers at the same time as your students, or at least for me, because I prioritized my students. What's up?
Do you have any updates?
No, I'm sorry.
I might just go start dinner.
You were waiting?
It's been like 40 minutes.
I thought you were cooking.
No.
I'm sorry. For me, I prioritize a relationship with my students over my coworkers. And I know I do that, right? Because I'm there for the students. I obviously treat my coworkers very respectfully and professionally, but that's what I found difficult. Like, I was like, I don't know if I should spend all day talking to my coworkers and building those relationships, or if I should just make that happen over a longer period of time and prioritize the immediate needs of my students. And that was like a mental battle I faced for some reason. I'm also very introverted, okay? And although I only had 7 students, teaching was very challenging for me because I was always on. And I would be very open and transparent with my students, and I'd be like, hey, today I'm having a quiet day. I'm, like, not as talkative. I'm a little overstimulated. Maybe I'm a little grumpy. And being transparent with them really helped on those days where I was worn down and I knew they were also worn down, and we just needed kind of to vibe out together, you know? Number 7? Why can't I keep track? Might be number 7. But finally, something that surprised me, piggybacking off that last comment, is how open you can be with your students while still remaining a professional relationship with your students. Meaning, students can know who you are as a person. They can know how you feel in a given moment. You don't need to hide everything, because if you put on this face and you don't show your goofiness or your personality, it becomes even more exhausting. I was super closed off at the beginning of the school year, and throughout my first year of teaching, I realized, like, what am I doing? Like, not only am I not going to build relationships with these kids or relate on anything, like, I'm just exhausted because I'm putting on, like, a stern, stoic presentation of, like, I'm always fine. No, like, I don't want my students to think I'm not human by doing that. So really breaking down those walls and talking with your students about your life more, like, as deep as you want to go. You shouldn't go too deep, and maybe relating to some of the things that they've gone through, or being like, hey, everyone goes through this. That's totally a normal part of life. Just showing your true colors, which also means being goofy, and being a goofy teacher makes things more fun, to be honest. Kind of like this Frizzle. She was my idol as a kid. What an icon. Yeah, being silly with them is the most fun thing out of anything all year that I experienced. It just brought so much joy every day. So, those are the things that I struggled with most and was surprised by in my first year of teaching. Again, I want to say teaching is not for everyone, but I think the internet shows a lot of both sides of the spectrum in teaching, right? Either the teachers pour out their heart, souls, money, and everything, and they go all out, and they become more focused on the look of teaching and the aesthetic of teaching rather than focusing on the actual learning aspect, or from what it seems, that's what they're posting. And then there's the teachers that claim that they hate their job, they've never liked it, it's always hard, they're crying on the internet. They're only showing the bad sides of teaching and then explaining, like, hey, I quit teaching, it just wasn't for me. And that's okay. But sometimes those videos kind of destroy the last little bit of hope for new teachers that it might work out. And that sometimes is harmful too. Of course, love love all teachers, love all people who decide to go into this amazing profession. But I just want, if there are any beginning teachers out there, I want you to know that you are in charge of discovering who you are as a teacher and how you're going to teach and what kind of relationship you want with your school and your students and the parents. That's your journey, and no one can decide what it's going to be like for you except you. So, mic drop. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and this was not my typical streaming video that I'm going to start doing, but I thought it was really important, and I wanted to reflect on my first year of teaching and help some people out. So, subscribe if you liked it. Bye.